Hey everyone, Violet here. Today I picked up some takeout and I would love it if you would join me for a meal and a story time. So please grab something to eat and or drink and I will see you soon. Oh my goodness, you guys, would you take a look at this? I ordered this fantastic vegan platter from a local all vegan, all organic restaurant, and oh my gosh, it's always a surprise exactly what grains and what beans are included. So let's take a look. It's like covered in vegan cheese. Looks like we've got some kind of quinoa here, white. I'm not sure though, actually. It looks a little bit bigger. I'm not really positive what kind of grain it is, but it looks amazing. We've got some black beans, we've got some green lentils, it looks like, and some roasted potatoes, and some tofu over there. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna heat this up, and I'm gonna see you in a second. I've just gotta say, how massive does this look on this plate? Wow. Look at that. It's gonna be so good. So, I have this incredible meal. I've got my coconut water, I've got my Cholula hot sauce, and it came with some toast with vegan butter on it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and eat that with this. So I'm gonna tell you about, oh my goodness, this bread looks so good, like a multi-grain bread. Wow, it's gonna be amazing. Yum. Also, I know I showed a picture earlier, or a video earlier, but there are also these like massive white beans in here that are look so good. But I had to heat it up because I really like when vegan cheese is like totally melted. And I left it sitting outside on the counter for a little bit when I was, driving there to pick it up. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and take a bite. I'm starving. I haven't had any food today. It is afternoon. Okay. That's so good. I love this restaurant. I'm gonna add some hot sauce. So I typically can only eat half of this at a time. So we're just gonna see how we do today, but I wanted to tell you the story about how my partner and I found out that I was pregnant and that we were going to have a baby. These are kind of hard, like, I feel like you're actually supposed to drink it maybe like this. I'm not sure, but I always spill it on myself at first. And then it's always difficult to get the last bit out, so like, seems like the other way might work, but let me know what you think. So, this was back in February. February is when we found out. This is so good with the hot sauce, especially. So, our first date was September 13th of that, like, not same year because the calendar year goes over, but like September 13th. And then what do we have? September to, okay, mid-September to mid-October, November, December, January, February. So it had not even been 5 months since our first date when we found out. We found out beginning of February. And, but within that amount of time, we had fallen madly in love. We had met each other's families over the holidays, so that's like a big plus. I don't know what this news would have been like if we hadn't. And the thing is, second. We'd had a conversation like in January, I kid you not. Well, okay, we had one in like, I'm gonna say November. Yeah, November. We had a conversation in November about how we could totally see our lives together, like the rest of our lives. So that might seem early. I think every couple's on a different timeline, so it's, you know, it just totally depends. So we'd had that conversation. Then in January, we actually had the conversation that if like we could imagine ourselves having a kid together, and like if we were to find out that I was pregnant, like maybe we'd, you know, want to go through with it. So it's kind of crazy that we had that conversation in January, but you also have to understand that I wasn't on traditional birth control. I was doing the rhythm method. I was tracking my cycles. So it was always like kind of a question. Oh, this is amazing. So in February, we took a trip. My boyfriend's a musician and a classical musician. So he was auditioning for a major job in an orchestra. This is like a salaried job. This would be like, we'd be set basically if he got this job and we like moved to that city together. We could live off of it. Like it was definitely it would be a really, really, really good job. So we went on this trip and we were staying in an Airbnb. And how it works with these orchestras are that they so they do like a day of auditions. Like you might have had to already send in a tape and get pre-approved to audition, but there's a first round. So let's say that it's one day. I think in this case it was one day. Everyone auditions on the same day, and then they take it into like a final round, which I think was like maybe 10 people out of, I don't know, like probably over 50 or 60 that auditioned, who may have already had to like send in a tape to like get to that round, so they're already really good. And these are like nerve-wracking auditions. It's like you are behind a screen, they can't even see you. You just go in and play. You play these same like excerpts from music that everybody knows and everybody's been practicing and playing all the time, but there's like a long list of them and you don't know which ones they're gonna choose. So anyway, so they narrow it down to like 10 people, and those people go on the next day. So we weren't sure what to expect. He's an amazing player, but like we didn't know if he'd make it to the other round. So we're like, let's make a fun trip out of this, visit this city, you know, like not get our hopes up, like just see what happens. And so, you know, we got there, we did some fun like sort of explory type stuff. This food is so, so, so good. And so then he went into audition, and he, you know, auditioned, and then I think how it works is like everyone's in rounds of like 1 hour. Let's say that 10 people go in and audition, and then they all like wait with their instruments in the waiting room, and then someone walks out with a clipboard. I've never done this before. This is just like from what I've heard and how I imagine it goes. And then someone walks out with a clipboard and they're like, okay, so-and-so can stay. Or like so-and-so and so-and-so can stay. So he was like nervously waiting, and then found out that he made it to the next round. So he, and that next round was the next day. So this is now evening time. He comes back, we're like, okay, how can we like best prepare for tomorrow? His audition, I think, was like early afternoon the next day. And we're like, let's make a really nutritious meal, like let's not go out and drink with your friends, like let's, cause you know, he knows, of course, he knows like other musicians who are also auditioning for this. Let's watch a movie. So we make this like really relaxing, lovely night. Meanwhile, I feel like I should be eating this more civilized, like with a knife and fork, but I just like to like pile all this like wonderful goodness onto the bread and just eat it like that. It's so good. So meanwhile, I had missed my period, and I can't remember how many days it had been, but it was like still within that realm where you're like, okay, it's probably, or it still could come, it might just be a little late. And we actually were not worried at all, because one, like I was tracking my cycle, I didn't think that there was a risk. Well, there might have been a risk, but anyway. Two, I was feeling the same that I do like right before a period. Like I was cramping. It felt exactly the same. I was like, oh, it's definitely coming. Weird that it's not here yet. It's definitely coming, you know. And three, because I had taken a pregnancy test at home before we left, and it was negative. So we were pretty certain. But it came up. It was like a topic of conversation that night. We were like, well, I can't remember why, but I think I was looking up like the window of accuracy of this like pregnancy test. I looked it up, and then I saw a bunch of reviews that were like, this test was wrong. Like this test told me that it was negative, but I was actually pregnant. And we were like, ooh, that's not good. So then it was like getting to be later at night. Like he definitely needed an early bed, but the pharmacies were still open, so we're like, well, why don't we just go get like one of those like really accurate tests, like the clear blue. I think that's what the brand is, the ones that are like super, super accurate. And we're like, our reasoning was, because I still felt like my period was coming, it still felt the same. Our reasoning was, we don't want you to have to worry about this at your audition tomorrow. We want you to like, you know, be totally calm and like know that I'm not pregnant, basically. So we go and we buy this test. And it was just like so awkward. It was like so obvious why we were there. We were like this couple and we were just buying this one thing, and there was like this girl like in her early 20s like checking us out. Like it was just like painfully obvious and super awkward trip to the pharmacy. But anyway, so we went back, and I was feeling a little nervous, but like I wasn't letting on that I felt nervous at all. We were like, there's no way. So then we went and I took the test, set it out on the table, went into the kitchen to get the instructions to like figure out, okay, how do we know? It was one of those where there's like a plus or minus or something like that. And so then my boyfriend was like staring at it. He was like, I think it's positive. I was like, no, there's no way, you know. So then I came over and it was definitely positive. So then it was like, oh my gosh, I can barely even remember. It was such a whirlwind. But I will say that I looked it up, and the cramping feelings, like the same symptoms that you have when you are getting your period, are also the same symptoms that could indicate that you're pregnant. I didn't know that. Who knew that? Anyway, so, oh my goodness, we were like in another world that night. We were just like, we were talking through everything. We were emotional. Like, I think the first thing I did, I was like, I'm gonna go take a shower. And I went and like took a shower. And that might seem like a weird response, but that was the first thing that I did. And somehow we're like, okay, we have to get to sleep because we've got this big audition tomorrow. So then we got some sleep, and the next day, I don't know how we did that. The next day he went into his audition. And at this point we were like, oh my gosh, if you got this job, we would be set. If you got this job, like all of our questions, we're both like, you know, artists. All of our questions of like career and money and that kind of thing would be solved in terms of the baby. We would know that we would be set up well, basically. But this is like the hardest part. I can't remember if he said he'd ever even gotten past this round, but once, you know, they're in the second round, then they narrow it down to just like a small handful of people. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Catherine. You're meowing at me. Hey, baby girl. Oh. Anyway, so he plays his audition. He texts me. He's not sure how it went. He's waiting in the waiting room. And they narrow it down to 4 people. And he's one of them. So then he has to wait like probably a couple hours or something before his next audition. Meanwhile, I'm like at home in this Airbnb, like freaking out. And then okay. So he's narrowed down to 4 people. And this is like a major job. And he's never, I don't think he'd ever made it this far in an audition before, but I'm not sure. And so it was so exciting. And he's an incredible player. So it's not like, it's like everybody at that level is an incredible player. It's just, it's a matter of taste, it's a matter of luck on the day, it's a matter of like preparation, but also mindset. yeah, mindset is really important. So I don't even know. I think he's referred to it as the most stressful day of his life. So then, the end of the story is that he doesn't get the job. Obviously, he made it really close. He didn't get the job. But we decided, oh, and his contract with his current orchestra he was playing with was up at the end of the spring. But we decided to like basically trust in the universe and go ahead and decide to have the baby. And since then, he is signed up again with an orchestra, got a job, we got engaged. Everything has been working out very, very, very well for us. But it's such a crazy story about when we first found out. So, yeah. That's my story time. So I've eaten about half of this, and this is where I normally stop. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. And if you liked this, please give it a like. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if you have a crazy story like this in any way. And please subscribe, it really helps out my channel. So thank you so much for being here. I might honestly keep eating a little bit more, but I don't want to like pressure myself into doing it. So I hope you loved this story time, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey guys, I just wanted to pop in here and show you that while editing this video, I finished that meal. So it is done. Please let me know what you were eating. If you were eating anything, if you're joining me for a meal, I would love to hear about it. And thank you so much for watching.